Cynthia is someone I've known for a long time. I consider her my work sibling. I just absolutely love Cynthia to death, and she is very selfless and giving of her time. She's been to Snow College 3 times now as a guest speaker for the nursing program, a convocation speaker, and now here for the entrepreneurship program. You will hear from her today, but know this about Cynthia. She is a serial entrepreneur. And how many of you business students have heard, or psychology students, have heard of Deming? Okay, well, maybe we'll talk about Deming sometime, or Russ will, but Cynthia really does carry through the philosophy that everyone counts and everyone matters, and she does that in her daily life, whether it's through work or through the things that she selflessly gives to in terms of her philanthropy and her time. So a brief biography on Cynthia. Cynthia Kimball Davis has been in higher education for 20 years, over 20 years. While working remotely for Southern Utah University as a director of K-12 programs and as an assistant professor of education, she also became the innkeeper for the Snuggle Inn in Loa, Utah, near Capitol Reef National Park. There she co-runs as second-generation owners the inn with her husband Ryan. Although Cynthia earned a doctorate in education, she also enjoys being an innkeeper, a small business owner, and an entrepreneur. She encourages people to find what they're passionate about, very true, and what they're good at, and to go forward and with belief. Cynthia originally hails from New York State, has 5 bonus children and 10 bonus grandchildren, and is a breast cancer survivor, and also brain tumor and radiation-induced heart disease survivor. She loves true life stories. I can attest to that because she writes for several publications and specializes in feature stories. So I do stalk you and read your articles. And she is a dog lover and was once a guest clown with the Ringling Bros Circus. So let's welcome Cynthia.
Thank you, Lisa. Lisa and I worked together at Southwest Tech in Cedar City, and I also worked with Dr. Anthony Beal at Southern Utah University. So happy to be here. Does anyone know where Loa is? Raise your hand if you know where Loa is. Sam, I know you do. Russ, I know you do. Have you been to Loa?
From Wayne County.
You're from Wayne County. What's your last name? Oh, that's a big name there. Do you know Ryan Davis? Okay. You know my family. Wonderful. So there's like 5 big names there. Durfee's one of them. Wonderful. Anyone else from Wayne County or has driven through that? You're from Wayne County? What's your name? Jensen?
My last name?
Yes. Oh gosh, that's another big name. That's one of the 5. Wonderful. Awesome. How many people have been to Capitol Reef? Because if you've been to Capitol Reef, you're going to drive through Loa. Does anyone ever remember seeing the Snuggle in Loa? Anyone see the Snuggle in? I know you have, Lisa. No one else? You go through Loa really fast. I know these folks you guys know, right? Awesome, awesome. Well, happy to be here. Hey, it was October 2021, and we had just closed the inn. We took over from my father-in-law. I'm going to get into the story. And we had 2 guys walk in at 11:30 p.m. No food in Wayne County is open. You guys know this, late at night. Nothing. Not even a vending machine. These guys were out in Escalante, rock climbing. There's a term for it when you're doing it with your hands. They're like, where can we get chicken in town? I'm like, there is nothing, nowhere you can get anything in town. So we had just gone to Kentucky Fried Chicken that day in Richfield. So I ran upstairs, got some chicken, potatoes, coleslaw, biscuits, put it together, put other food together, and gave it to them. And they were just like, seriously? Now, I'm going to tell you these things throughout the presentation. One of the things I want to talk about is humility. I'm going to talk about some things that we did for the basis of educational purposes. They couldn't believe it. They were just so hungry. Nothing was open. And the next day, they actually talked to my father-in-law who built the Snuggle Inn. And then they wrote us a review like this long on TripAdvisor. And they said, kind people exist. Again, I say this for the purpose of this presentation. So the Snuggle Inn is one of the things that we do there is we try to take care of people, whether it's getting food out of our pantry, whether they stay in our guest room. We've actually let guests stay in our guest room because we ran out of room. They cooked in our kitchen because they thought they were going to get a suite, and they ended up with a double queen. So super excited to be here. And remember, I'm going to focus on relationship. You got intellectual capacity, relationship capacity equals financial capacity. We'll talk about that in just a minute. So these are just my insights, my experience as building businesses and ventures, my experiences. So anyhow, I retired from SUU. Last January. I was working 90 hours a week, and I said, something's got to give. And I went through all this education. I realized that I like being an innkeeper. Is my education a waste? I'm going to ask you that. Is my education a waste? Why is it not a waste? You're shaking your head.
Because you can use that later in life.
You can use it later in life. So I know there's the word failure out there. You are never a failure. Everything you can use, anything that you've done, you can use. So just remember that. This is what I'm going to talk about today. That's our little logo up there. I've got it right here. Remember Grandma Bunny. I'll talk about her in a minute. So a little bit about the Innkeeper, the venture, advice for aspiring entrepreneurs, successes, and not yet. I took out the word failure and I did not yet. Growth mindset. Exercise what you're passionate about and what you're good at, and then going forward. Feel free to ask questions at any time as we go along. And here we go. Whoop, let's go the other way. Okay, so I have done things. This is my guest clown. Has anybody ever been a clown? I never thought I would be a clown. I had a friend who wrote the program for Ringling Bros Circus. He lived in Washington, D.C., and we were talking, and I was learning juggling at a drama class at the University of North Carolina, where I went to my undergraduate. And he said, you can be a guest clown in a show if you'd like. I'm like, you're kidding. I'm like, let's do it. So Greenville, North Carolina, I opened the show with the clowns. Now, to be a clown back in the day, you had to go to clown college in Lakeland, Florida. And not everybody made it. I certainly wouldn't have made it. You do acrobatics, and I could juggle, and that was it. But they made me all up, and I went and I performed with them, and I was the happiest I've ever been. It was so fun. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, and they're pointing at me, laughing, they're riding tricycles, but super fun. My point in showing you all of this is you don't have to do one career throughout your life. You can do multiple. It's okay if you do one career. There's nothing wrong with it, but you can do multiple careers. So I'm a wife, a mom, my grandchildren. I'm a bonus mom. So I married into a family with 5 children. We have 10 grandchildren. They call me Grandma Chocolate. I'm a cancer educator. I had breast cancer. I was teaching English in Japan, had to come stateside and get treated. Then later in life, they found out I had brain tumor, not related. And the cancer treatments gave me a heart condition, but it's all good. I'm healthy, everything's good. And a higher ed leader, been in higher education and leadership positions for over 20 years. There's my husband, one of our grandkids, there's SU. With the cancer story, we got to be in People magazine and on CNN. There's another show we were on too. Anyhow, and the reason they highlighted our family is because we have a cancer gene that we got from my dad. So we got a breast and ovarian cancer mutation from my dad's side. 50% of every offspring will get this mutation. There's 5 girls in our family. Guess how many got it? I said 50%, but all of us got it. It was highly unusual. So they showcased us in the media saying, you can get a breast and ovarian cancer gene from your dad. We got it from our dad. So I look at my dad and I'm like, how did you give us this? So he was the carrier, and it's all over our family. You go all over and we've got it. But the good thing is when you identify a mutation in your family, no matter what it is, you can take preventive measures to stop it, and that's what we did. Okay? So we were also in this book, Pretty is What Changes. This lady, she was on Gossip Girl, a writer, Jessica Queller, and she said our family story helped her make a decision to do preventive surgeries. Okay, so the venture, it's called the Snuggle Inn. 1996, not too long ago. My father-in-law right here, Dick, he shoveled snow at 3 years old, he'll tell you. Loves to work. He loved to work so much that he would sit in the back offices in a recliner and just snore. People would check in, and he'd have notes for people at the front. He just loved to work, and the only reason he's not running the Snuggle Inn right now is because he had a stroke. He's okay and everything, but it just slowed him down. My mother-in-law right now is at the Beehive home in Richfield, and she's not doing very well, but they're wonderful people. They founded it. And the Snuggle Inn, this is Grandma Bunny. So this is my husband's grandma. Our family comes from the Netherlands. So the Snuggle Inn is named after Grandma Bunny. So Snuggle Bunny, that's where that comes from. So 1996 was phase 1, 2005 was phase 2. And there was an existing building they built on top that was from the 1930s. And then here's my husband, Ryan, and myself. So these are the folks that have been running it. Grandma Bunny didn't run it, it was named after her. But then they have a 4,000 square foot apartment in the building where we live. Can you imagine? Our home in Cedar City that we sold was 4,000 square feet. It's like, hello, it's huge. So my father-in-law built that. They lived there. And they came to Wayne County. They had grown up, they lived in California, didn't want to raise their family in California. Put their kids up with babysitters, went on the road, and came across Wayne County, a 40-acre farm. Do you guys know in Lyman where Ryan grew up? No. Anyhow, 40-acre farm, came with animals, $25,000 back in the day, early 70s. Can you imagine? They got a deal. So that's where Ryan grew up. Okay, so this is the Snuggle Inn. So if you look up in the middle top, the right part, that's really where a lot of the rooms are, but we've built some Airbnbs, and so we have commercial space over in the building top left. So we have a space for a restaurant. Does anybody want to come to Loa and start a restaurant? Does anybody want to come back to Loa and start a restaurant? No? Gift shop? Coffee shop? If you do, let us know. That's something that we're exploring. So these are just some pictures. We've got the Loa Elementary Schools behind us. We just did some remodeling here. So what we're doing for my father-in-law's days, some things are kind of old, so we're renovating things and we're making them look newer and nicer, and it's showing up on our reviews and people are liking it. So this is it. So next time you go through Loa, this is what you're going to look for. When you're heading towards Capitol Reef, we're on your left, we're right next door to Family Dollar. So. Oh, let me go back here. So this is 22,000 square feet, 17 rooms, and we've been sold out pretty much almost every night from May to the end of October. They did build a new high school in Bicknell, so a lot of contractors came down. They're building a new steak center in Loa, so contractors come down. But we get a lot of tourists that come from all over the world. So we've got 8 queens, 3 double queens, and then we've got 6 suites. And they're on Airbnb, Expedia, Hotels.com bookings. And we get a lot of folks that come here to fish at Fish Lake year-round, even do ice fishing, people hunting and hiking, and going to see the park. So our business we call the Quincy Way. So even though we're the Snuggle Inn, our business name is Quincy Way. Anybody have any ideas why we called it Quincy Way? Anyone here of Quincy, Illinois? Russ, you've heard Quincy, Illinois? What do you know about Quincy, Illinois?
I think that's the place that received all of the Mormon pioneers that got kicked out of Missouri.
Yes,
They
were being exterminated by the governor of Missouri at the time, and the people of Quincy who weren't Mormon took them into their homes, and they loved them and they were kind to them. Quincy was also a place where slaves that were getting out of the South went, and they helped Indians too. So the people of Quincy, we thought if we can be like the people of Quincy, we're going to make it in this business. So here's Ryan and his dad. Do you think they look alike up there a little bit? He's a little bit taller than his dad. And this is the governor of Utah. He's come and stayed with us. And at one time, we had a polygamous family from Fremont work for us. So the governor came with his family, and they were super nice, and they were doing some hiking. But anyhow, that's our goal. So our business name is Quincy Way. Underneath Quincy Way, we have the Snuggle Inn. We have commercial properties, an opportunity for a restaurant, opportunity for a coffee shop, opportunity for a gift shop. So under Quincy Way, we have all of those entities. So our mission statement, it's unofficial. If we open our home, the inn, and love, be kind, and show hospitality to people to the highest degree, it will work out. And you know what? It has been working out, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to do what the people of Quincy, Illinois did to the pioneers, to the folks trying to get out of slavery into Indians. So here's the Mabaki family. They're from Johannesburg, South Africa. They've since moved to Cedar City. And here's a lady that was cougar hunting with her husband, playing games. And sometimes even the domestic shelter in Wayne County, if those folks needed a safe place to come, they would come and even bring their children. So we try to be like the people of Quincy Way, feeding people, housing them. We've had people come and say, a guy who could barely speak English, and he showed us his artwork, and he said, basically, can I trade you for my artwork for a room? Brilliant. We're like, of course. We had another lady that she says, I can detail your car. Can I get a room for free? So she detailed our car. She was awesome. So back in the day, people did a lot of trading. Well, sometimes we do that too. So if people are in a situation where they can't afford it, we try to make it work. Okay, so advice. Any questions so far? Any questions? Okay. So this is my advice if you are wanting to build your own venture. Okay. So the first thing is make a decision for you, not other people. When I first started college, I went to a women's college in Indiana, in South Bend, called St. Mary's College. The reason I went there wasn't for me. I went there for my dad. My dad loved Notre Dame football, was across the street. So I went there and I'm like, I hate it here. Nothing wrong with the college, but I didn't go there for me. I went there for my dad. So if you are going to start a venture, a business, do it for who? Do it for you. Many times when I worked with students at SU, Southwest Tech, I worked at technical colleges in Washington State. I worked at Nevada State College in Nevada. There were sometimes my students would say, I'm going into the farming business because my parents it's in generations and they expect me to do it, but I don't want to do it. Do what you want to do. It might be a really hard conversation with your family, but do what you want to do. Don't go to a university because your dad likes Notre Dame football. I look back and I'm like, what was I thinking? I hated it there. Again, great school. I wasn't there for me. Number 2, has anybody ever made decisions for other people? Was I the only one? Raise your hand if you've made a decision for other people. Okay, so make decisions for you. Number 2, you don't have to stay in the same career venture your entire life. But if you do, it's okay. I've been in higher ed. I owned a business called Everyone Counts that Lisa referred to. I used to do training and development and go to business and talk about everybody in your organization, your culture matters. Teach customer service, dealing with difficult people. So you don't have to stay in the same career venture your entire life. Look, I got a doctorate in education, and now I'm a business owner again. And it's okay. Sometimes you can do them at the same time. When SU gave me permission to work at the inn, I was working again like 80 to 90 hours a week. It was just way too much. I would encourage work-life balance. Okay. So you don't have to stay in the same career. And yet this morning, I met with the education department about teaching classes online for snow because I miss that. I don't want a full-time job at the university again, but I miss teaching and mentoring and advising students. So I'll probably do that. Number 3, have a small trusted circle of influence and build your network. When you are telling your ideas, has anybody ever shared like an entrepreneurial idea with someone and they shared it with somebody else? Anybody ever have that happen? Okay, we had somebody up here. What happened?
Well, I was just talking with my friends and it's just then she was just trying to make it sound like it was her idea and I'm like, what else?
Yeah? There's a story that happened with Facebook like that. There were, I think Mark Zuckerberg was at Harvard and he had some friends that he shared ideas with. Be careful who you share your ideas with. Make sure you have a trusted circle of influence, and it could be 5 people. The smaller, the better. It could be 3. You don't want someone to take your idea or a version of your idea, and you're working on it. All of a sudden, you're like, wait, how did that business come to fruition? You may have given away your ammunition, your information. So just be careful with that. And build your network. You want to have a network. Rich Christiansen, who I'm going to talk about in a minute, he spoke in this series a couple years ago. He's a friend of mine. He's written 4 books, and he's written like 50 businesses, not like me. He's way over me. And he says he had 19 failures of those. But he talks about having, building your network. And yeah, he's got a couple books here. I'll talk more about him in a minute. So build your network. And what that means is we'll have a little equation here in a little bit, but people buy from people they like. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but you want to make sure you are relationship centric. If you have a product and you want to sell it and you're not relationship centric, what does relationship centric mean? Somebody, what does it mean? Anthony?
I think focusing on people and relationships over the product or the process.
Yeah. Focusing on people over the product or process. Very good. Thank you. This is your dean of business over here. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So 4, stay humble and give credit to others. So our house cleaners, I meant to bring a flashlight, clean with a flashlight. I got this high-powered flashlight to go out and see our dogs at night. And I was like, this could actually work in cleaning. Game changer. Take a high-powered flashlight at home and put it on like a table to see if you can see dust. And you'll be like, whoa. First look at it and you're like, there's no dust there. Then put the flashlight on it. Game changer. Not only that, I go in, I'm the inspector, and I inspect every room before somebody goes in. And I have a flashlight. So anything that they miss, maybe they forgot to put toilet paper in there. Pretty big thing. They forgot to put a towel in there. They left a bottle of Pledge in there, whatever. And I make sure, because we're human, we forget things. I make sure that everything's cleaned up. And if they get a nice tip, if they get a $100 tip or a $50 tip, I don't take any credit for them. It's them. So give credit. It's all you. You did it. You did that. So give credit to others. Okay, we're going to do an exercise in a little bit, but number 5 is one of my favorite things. Find something you're good at and you're passionate about. How many people have heard someone say, I hate my job? And someone says, but you're so good at it. I hate it, but you're so good at it. Has anybody ever been in that situation where you were good at a job, but you hated it? Yeah, tell us about that.
So I was a tutor for kids anywhere from the age of 3 all the way up to 12th grade. I was very good at it because I'm bright when it comes to math and a little bit in English writing. And I did not like dealing with little kids because that was where I was placed, was with the littles. And I did not like that. It was not where I wanted to be. Excellent form of birth control, but...
Right. Yeah. But you wouldn't have known that. So I probably should be saying this for the recording it. So we have an example here of someone tutoring little kids, good at tutoring, but really the age group wasn't one that worked for you. But you wouldn't have known that if you didn't do it, right? So find something you're good at and something you're passionate about. Another example, someone else, something you're good at and something you're passionate about. Anybody have an experience where they were good at it or they were passionate about it? Anyone else? One more example. I might have to choose a volunteer. Might have to be our friends from Wayne County. No, one more example. One more example. Somebody else that did something, they're like, this is not for me. But maybe you thought it was you going in. One more example. This is the participation part right here. Anyone? How about our friend, Lisa, go ahead.
I was very passionate about being a news reporter. I enjoyed it. I was very good at it.
But after I had my first child, I discovered it really valued disconnect because the job is 24/7 and you cannot bring a baby to a drug bust.
Yes, very good. Excellent. Yeah, that's a great example. So Lisa was a journalist. She had just had her child. There's going to be sometimes you have to cover stories and you can't bring your child to cover a drug bust. Very good. Excellent. All right, so we're going to do that exercise in just a little bit. Listen to number 6, listen to feedback and reviews. Sometimes when people check out, we'll say, how was everything? Oh, the light was flickering in room 6. The toilet doesn't work in room 4D. There was a little noise in the room next door. So we really try when we get that feedback to make improvements. And also they give us feedback on reviews. So Expedia, Hotels.com, Airbnb, Booking.com, TripAdvisor, Yelp, Priceline. And if it's good, it goes on there. If it's not good, it goes on there. 8, 9 times out of 10, it's good. Every once in a while, do you ever run into somebody that just complains about everything? Anyone ever met someone like that? No matter what. We had one guy one time, Ryan had left to go watch one of our grandchildren in Cedar in a play. I can't go, one of us has to stay back. The night he leaves South Central Communications, something happens. They're making an update. Anybody familiar with Roku TVs? We have Roku TVs. So a lot of our population, we're finding out, doesn't know how to use a Roku TV. He didn't know how to use a TV. He's a TV guy, remote hand. I offered to come in there verbally. I offered through text to come in and show him how to use a TV. I offered through phone. Didn't take it. Now, prior to this, they were really happy. They went to Marina's Country Cafe down the road, loved the meal. They know Family Dollar, there's food next door. The grocery store's a half block, there's food. We offer food on site. But in his review, he said our internet, sucked, and that we had no food anywhere in the town, which they'd already come back from the restaurant and said, we loved it. And we tell everybody when they check in, these are your food options in town. Anyhow, you're going to get those every once in a while, but 8, 9 times out of 10, we get good feedback. These were ladies, I'll get to that one in a minute. So listen to feedback and reviews and make corrections when you need to. Number 7, don't leave your job until you're sure you can do your venture. What does that mean? If you have an idea, you want to start a business and you're working in a job that maybe has benefits, you get paid 40 hours a week, what does that mean if you have a venture? Don't leave your job until you're sure you can do a venture. What does that mean? Yes?
Don't jump the gun on an idea thinking it can sustain your livability.
Yes, we got up here. Don't jump the gun on an idea thinking it can sustain your life, right? So I left SUU and I went to my husband because I was working 80, 90 hours a week. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I don't have any work-life balance. Do you think I can leave the university? He's like, yeah, we're doing well here. I'm like, done. So left the university and we were secure. Now our insurance, our benefits, we have the 401k from SUU. We moved it over to Charles Schwab. And we're with state insurance, which is fine. It all worked out, but we were safe. Instead of jumping the ship, you can have a great idea. You leave your secure job and you jump ship. Make sure that you can jump ship before you leave that safety net. You don't have to, number 8, you don't have to create a new idea. What does that mean? What does that mean? You don't have to create a new idea for a venture. Any ideas? Yes?
You can do the same thing that other people have done before.
Give an example. You got an example?
There's other people that have hotels or inns.
There's other people that have hotels and inns. We're not the first one. Excellent answer. Perfect. There used to be a show called The Big Idea with Donnie Deutsch. Did anybody ever see that? You guys probably weren't even born. But anyhow, he said, you can think of the same thing that someone else did and make it better or different. He said, how many people go to the bathroom? Everybody. When you're on the toilet, look around the bathroom. Can I make anything here better or different? There was a lady on that show, dust ruffles, people put them under a bed like to cover up underneath the bed. So a lady came up with an idea of a zipper dust ruffle. Dust ruffle has already been created. She just did a different version of it with a zipper. Okay, so it doesn't have to be a new product. You can expand on an existing one. Number 5, find a mentor, conduct informational interviews. One of my mentors is Rich Christiansen. When we were in Cedar, even though he was the board of trustees at SU president, he came over to our house and he helped us with ideas that we had. We had like 6 or 7 ideas, and he helped us go, this really isn't viable, this might be, or I would do this one first. Find a mentor, somebody that will meet with you. And conduct informational interviews. Does anyone know what an informational interview is? I know Lisa does, and I know Anthony does. Anybody else? And Russ? Informational interview, what is it? Anyone? I might have to call in one of our folks. Do you guys know? Want to share what it is? Informational interview? Russ?
Yeah, it's when you call somebody and get information about what they do or something you're interested in. You're not asking for a job. You're not asking for an internship. You're just interviewing them for information to learn.
So Russ said you're interviewing people to learn. They could be in the same industry. Somebody came and stayed at our inn. I think he owned like 50 Hampton Inns. We're like, okay, we're just small potatoes. We're one. But he gave us information. We said, hey, if we ever have any questions down the road, can we call you? Absolutely. His father had started out small potatoes like us. So you're contacting and someone saying, I would love to interview you and find out. I've been researching you. I want to know what you know that can help us. Do you have 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour? And do it in person if you can. Second, do it on the phone. Third, via Zoom. But I would recommend doing it in person. And then say at the end of the interview, I love this so much. Would you mind if I reach out to you anytime that I have any questions, or even, would you mind being my mentor? Go on the edge. The worst thing they can say is no. Conduct informational interviews. You can get a lot of connections, build that network, and get some mentoring. 10 minutes. Okay. Number 10 is one of my favorites. People buy from you because they like you. You make them feel good. When the homeless vet walked across the country with PTSD after COVID, he didn't want to stay home. My husband talked to him for hours. Do you think he made that guy feel good? When 2 Thai people who lived in Houston, their rental car broke down and they had to catch a flight out of Las Vegas. And are there Ubers in Loa? Are there shuttles in Loa? Are there taxi cabs in Loa? Our guests are shocked that we have none of this, by the way. So if you want to start that business, come talk to us. It could probably work. My husband came to me, he goes, I feel impressed that I need to drive this couple down to the Las Vegas airport. Okay, that's like 5 hours each way. And they're like, are you sure we'll give you money? He's like, nope, no money. They get out a quarter of a mile out of town, and you know what they asked him? Why would you do this? Why would you do this? And that goes back to, what was our business name? Quincy Way. The people of Quincy, kind, loved, served those people, and offered them hospitality on steroids. A quarter mile out of the town. Why? You know Horseshoe Bend? That's where it was. Why would you do this? And they had the best conversation. He says, because I felt prompted to do this. And they sent us a package, and they were just so, if you ever go to Thailand, let us know, we have family there. If you ever come to Houston, let us know, we'll take care of you. So love, be kind, serve, and then find something in common with them. Anybody could read my name tag up here? What does it say?
Snuggle in.
Okay, snuggle in. And my name, Cynthia, and Syracuse, New York. Find commonalities with people. They're like, oh, you're from Syracuse? These ladies are from Syracuse. They had wine and cheese. I don't drink, but I had their cheese. We sat down. We had that. I'm like, do you know where Camillus is? Do you know where Onondaga is? Do you know where Baldwinsville is? What's it like? What's that mall like? And see, I haven't been there in so long. And they wanted a picture. We had the best conversation because you're finding commonalities. They buy from people they like. They buy from people that make them feel good. And they buy from people they connect with. So when people check in, I'm like, Lake Placid, New York. I've been there. How's Lake Placid? Somebody's from Washington State. I lived on Anderson Island. I lived on Anderson Island. Like, I've been there. Find those commonalities. You become best friends before they even go to their room. This lady up here, there's residential treatment centers in Wayne County. She walked in. She left the residential treatment center and walked in. And we were like, okay, I don't know. We helped her the best we could. She stayed with us for like 3 days. It was amazing. And we took care of her like we were her parents, talking to the treatment center and also talking to her parents. So love, be kind, serve, and find something in common with them. Okay, so successes and not yet. So successes, our business name has been good for us. Our mission statement's been good for us. Our happy culture. When you work for an organization, it could be toxic. You can't oftentimes control that organization culture. But if you own a business, you can create your own culture. Create a happy culture where people like coming to work. How many people have ever woken up and said, oh my gosh, I have to go to work today? Raise your hand if you've ever thought that. Okay? Many of us. But when you create your own culture, you can be excited to go to work. Okay? Guests become our family. Come back and refer others. We have people check in and say, my mother-in-law told me to come to the Snuggle Inn, but Capitol Reef, I could stay down there. There's places down there, but she said I needed to come here. People again say, I feel like I'm part of their family. I feel like I'm in their living room. And they refer others. Not yet. Growth mindset. We're thinking about a restaurant, a coffee shop. We need more front desk help. So Ryan could have been here with me today. And more social media and marketing. We really don't do much of that, and people are still coming because word of mouth has just gotten out. And I'm talking worldwide. Thomas Edison said, I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work. Because I don't believe in failure. Learn from when you make a mistake, and he made 10,000. Henry Ford, the only real mistake is the one from which we learn nothing. These are just some of our reviews. These people up here are from Idaho. They own cattle and have a potato ranch. They came down, brought steaks and a bag of potatoes, and they invited us to their suite and they made us dinner. We're the owners. They made us dinner. And they're coming back with more steaks and more potatoes. It's amazing. These people up here, the Asian couple, they said they felt something at our inn and wanted a picture. They felt something. Okay, and then these people here were just from Mississippi, Louisiana, Australia doing cougar hunting. I learned people do cougar hunting when I went to the inn. I didn't know. So this is what I want you to do. We just have a minute. I want you to talk with a partner. What you're good at. Share what you're good at. Just one thing instead of 3. What am I passionate about? What venture can I do with what I'm good at and passionate about? So let's just take a minute because we're running out of time. Find a partner. Or yeah. You guys started any ventures? Are you good at something?
Yeah.
What are you good at?
Marketing.
Marketing? Good. Are you passionate about it? We could use you at the end. It would be an online job.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you like to market and you're good at it. That's the recipe for you. That's good. What about you?
Just overall like, project management.
Good.
Like to do like pretty good at it.
I've got a book on project management I'm just going to give to you up here. It hasn't been read, so come up and see me afterwards, okay? Good. So you're passionate about it and you're good at it? Way to go. Great. You guys already got it. Awesome. Okay, we got to wrap up. I just need one example. I've got a couple of folks I just talked to. Somebody, give me an example. Something you're good at and something you're passionate about. Awesome. Really good at photography and you're passionate about it as well?
Yeah.
Perfect. Are you going to do something with it?
Actually, it's my job right now, but I've been doing it for a while. And I'm making more out of it.
Awesome.
Bigger than it is. I have a friend who does video on one of these like business partners. Like he does video, I do a photo, and then you can just kind of work together like weddings or just whatever.
Awesome. So he's already working on it. His passion with photography, he's good at it. Have you tried real estate? Come see us. We need someone to take pictures of the inside. And if you have a drone, that's even better. Real estate's big with photography and drone footage. Very good. Let's get another example. I got somebody over here in this row right here. Come on. So you're good at what?
Marketing.
Good at marketing and passionate about it, right? And what are you going to do with it?
Hopefully get my own business off the ground one day.
Get his own business. We also need it at the Snuggle Inn, I told him. All right. And it could be online, right? Could be online. So work through this and find out. Because again, you never want to be the person that says, I hate my job. I don't want to get out of bed and go to work. You want to get out of bed because you're good at it and you're passionate about it. We're almost done here. This is Rich Christiansen. He's my friend. He's adopted kids from Nepal. They've gone to school here. He's written 4 books. One of them is Bootstrap Business. What's your key word today? All right. And I've got some things to talk about. But anyhow, he just found out his real dad is not his real dad at 53. So he wrote a book called Blindsided. His dad was blind. Anyhow, you got to read this. It's amazing. But he's one of my mentors. Find those mentors. His website's on there. And if you want to send this out to the whole class, I'm fine with it. Okay. This is it. What's next? Entrepreneurship is a career choice. You can solve a problem with it. You can do something you're passionate about. Someone came up to me. They were guys from Arkansas. They fly single planes. And he goes, you were made to do this. I'm like, do what? He goes, run this inn, be in hospitality. I'm like, really? You were born to do it. Find out what you were born to do and made to do. And I can't wait to hear all about it. This is Ryan and I in front of the inn. They did a story on us in the local paper, which Ryan created. He created the local paper in Wayne County, Beaver, and Garfield. Entrepreneurial. Okay? So with that, any questions? Any questions? I know you got to go. Yes. My favorite thing about being an entrepreneur is you can control stuff and controlling the culture. Nothing better than being in a happy culture. Great question. Any other questions? Okay, what's one thing that I gave advice on? Anthony and Lisa, you got to watch the hands. What's one thing I gave advice on? Raise your hand. Yes. Informational interviews. There you go, Dale Carnegie book. Another one. Relationships centric. You get one from Rich Christiansen. One more. Yes. Networking. Okay. Why don't you pass that to the guy behind you? Okay. Sphere of influence. Network. Get people to help you. One more. Yes.
You don't have to create something new. You can just take someone else's idea and add your own.
You don't have to create something new. You can take someone else's idea and build on it. Thank you so much, everyone. Come to the Snuggle Inn. I got business cards up here. Come see me at the Snuggle Inn.